My name is Ashley, and here's how my story begins. I wasn't invited to my sister's baby shower. He said it was just close friends and family. I said, "Aren't I both?" She left me on red, so I mailed her a gift she'll never forget. She opened it at the party, and then her husband called me screaming. Here's how my story begins. I found out I wasn't invited to my sister's baby shower from a mutual friend who assumed I'd be there. She said something like, "It's going to be super small, just close friends and family," while casually sipping her iced vanilla latte like she hadn't just dropped a grenade in my lap. I just smiled and nodded like it didn't sting, like I hadn't lent that same sister almost $4,000 2 months earlier when her husband lost a chunk of their savings in some crypto disaster. Like I hadn't helped her move into her new house when she was 8 weeks pregnant and throwing up every other hour. Like I hadn't stayed up until 2 a.m. with her on FaceTime talking about stroller brands and which names sounded strong but not pretentious. I went home, sat in my car in the driveway, and just stared at my phone. That line kept echoing, close friends and family. So I texted her just that, just the words, "Aren't I both?" She read it within 5 minutes. I saw the little read stamp pop up and then nothing. 4 hours, then days. She didn't respond, didn't call, didn't even send a thumbs up emoji, just silence like I hadn't helped her pay off her credit card debt. Like I wasn't the one who covered half the bill for her gender reveal cake because her husband forgot to budget for it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't obsessing. I kept checking my phone like some sad teenager waiting for a text back. I replayed every conversation we'd had over the past year, wondering if I'd unknowingly crossed some invisible boundary, but I couldn't find anything. And then to make it worse, I saw who was invited her coworker from the marketing team. A girl from her prenatal yoga class, someone she met in a Mommy T2B Facebook group. These were the people in the photos tagged with cutesy captions like "My Tribe" and "Couldn't have done it without these ladies." I sat there staring at my screen, trying to swallow the lump in my throat. At first I told myself to be the bigger person, that maybe she had a reason, that maybe it really was a small event, and maybe she thought I'd be too busy, or didn't want to make me feel obligated. But that hope fizzled fast, because the truth was uglier. She didn't want me there. No explanation, no conversation, just cut out like I was a distant cousin she barely knew. I wasn't mad yet. I was humiliated, embarrassed that I thought we were closer than we were, that I thought she saw me as more than a walking wallet or free labor. But the anger came eventually, quietly pulled, like a switch flipped. I didn't want to blow up her phone or confront her. I didn't want to beg for a seat at her stupid party. So I mailed her a gift, wrapped it nicely, paid for the fastest delivery, made sure it would arrive the day of her shower. And what she opened in front of her new tribe, well, let's just say her husband ended up calling me not to say thank you. He was screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "Ashley, what the hell is wrong with you?" The box was the kind that gets attention wrapped clean in matte ivory paper, soft blue ribbon tied with perfect symmetry. No card, just her name on the tag. I made sure it looked elegant, expensive, and exactly like the kind of gift someone like her would want to show off before opening because I knew she would. She always did. Inside was a printed stack of receipts, not just a random pile. I spent over an hour organizing them in date order, highlighting amounts in bold, some from Venmo, some from old emails, and a few handwritten IOUs she probably assumed I'd forgotten about. At the top, I wrote in black ink, "From your close friend and family." Then I listed every dollar. $700 for the credit card payoff when she was freaking out about her credit score tanking. $200 emergency transfer when her husband's car needed a new transmission and they were maxed out. $580 for the Denver flight she couldn't afford for our cousin's wedding. $95 for her Amazon registry items that mysteriously disappeared without any thanks. And then the kicker, $250 for the deposit on the baby shower venue, the one I paid in advance because she said, "Don't worry, Ashley, I'll pay you back before the date." Guess she forgot or didn't care or never intended to. Underneath the receipts was a gift card. Target, $50. Nothing fancy, just enough to look like a real baby shower gift if anyone was watching. Then one more thing, a note. It was short. No anger, no swearing, no guilt trip, just one sentence. "This isn't a request for repayment, just a reminder that I've already given enough." I mailed it overnight. It arrived the morning of her party. I didn't text to confirm. I just waited. She didn't text me that day, not a word, but around 6:15 p.m., I got the call. Unknown number voicemail. It was her husband. He wasn't yelling, he was screaming. He said I'd humiliated his wife in front of her friends, that I had no right to drag financial drama into a baby celebration, that I blindsided them. He said I'd made her cry in front of everyone, that someone's mother asked if they were in financial trouble. He told me to grow up, said I was selfish, said I had just destroyed my relationship with my niece before she was even born. Unbelievable, Ashley, he said at the end. Just unbelievable. I didn't respond. I just replayed the voicemail once, then saved it. I expected the guilt to hit, maybe even regret, but it didn't. What hit instead was clarity. I'd let her become this person in my life who could take and take without ever having to say thank you. I'd made it easy. I'd been so afraid of looking petty that I let myself be taken advantage of for years. And the one time I set a boundary even gently, they acted like I'd lit the house on fire. The silence afterward was even louder than the screaming. She didn't reach out, not even to ask why, but I think deep down she already knew. And if she didn't, she was about to find out. A week passed, then still no word from her. Not even a passive-aggressive post, or some cryptic quote in her stories, which frankly was out of character. Usually, she couldn't resist making herself the victim of some vague emotional betrayal. I figured she was embarrassed. Or maybe she was hoping if she stayed quiet long enough, it would all just blow over. That had always been her pattern, ignore the mess, until someone else cleaned it up. And for most of our lives, that someone had been me. But I was done playing the cleaner. I didn't tell anyone about the gift at first, not even my closest friend Jenna, but then I got a call from our cousin Rachel, who said she'd heard something happened at the baby shower and wanted to know what was going on. I told her the truth, not in a dramatic way, just plain facts. What she owed, what I sent, what her husband said. Rachel didn't even pretend to be shocked. She just sighed and said, "Honestly, I've seen how she treats you, Ashley. I always wondered why you kept showing up for her." That stuck with me. So I started making a list, not a list of money, a list of moments. All the times I dropped everything for her. The emergency calls at 1 a.m. The rent she was short on the first year of her marriage. The time I canceled my anniversary trip to help her when she thought she was having a miscarriage, which turned out to be nothing. I'd even helped her write her college transfer essay when she said she was too anxious to do it herself. I realized I'd been keeping track of these things without even meaning to. And it hit me. She had trained me to think that love meant sacrifice and that family meant never saying no. She used that word family like a free pass to take whatever she needed and give nothing back. It wasn't about the baby shower, not really. That was just the latest symptom. And still through all of it, I kept hoping maybe she'd reach out. Maybe say she messed up, that she'd been overwhelmed, or thought I was too busy, or even just say the words I hadn't heard from her in over a year, "I'm sorry." Instead, her silence was the answer. But I wasn't just going to let this sit in my chest and rot, so I started to shift fully quietly. She and her husband were still on our shared family phone plan, the one I paid for. I removed them. I had automatic payments set up for one of her utilities from when she first moved into her house, and the bills were in my name. Canceled. The emergency fund she'd been borrowing from for over a year gone. No announcements, no drama, just off. It was time she figured out what life looked like without a safety net made of me. And yet, even with everything falling away, she still didn't call, didn't text, nothing. The worst part, I think she was waiting for me to apologize. 3 weeks after the baby shower, I got a letter in the mail, an actual physical letter. No return address, but the handwriting was familiar, her husband's. I almost didn't open it. I stood over the trash can with it for a full minute, but curiosity won. Inside was a single sheet of paper typed. It wasn't an apology, it was a list. He had itemized every kind gesture they'd supposedly done for me over the years. Letting me stay at their place during a snowstorm when my power went out. Buying me lunch once after a job interview. Letting me borrow her favorite necklace for a wedding. At the bottom was a sentence that read, "You've been keeping tabs for years. Just wanted to show you we could do the same. Maybe now we can call it even and move on." I sat down and just stared at it. I wasn't even angry. It was sad, pathetic, like he truly believed buying me a sandwich once somehow canceled out thousands of dollars, years of emotional labor, and being completely erased from my own sister's life event. I didn't respond. But what I didn't expect came 3 days later. I got a call from my boss's assistant. Confused, polite, but definitely uncomfortable. She said my sister had called my office directly, said it was about a family emergency, and she had to speak to me right away. It wasn't an emergency. She had found out I canceled the utility payment. Apparently, they'd missed 2 months, never noticed, and suddenly got a disconnect notice. And when she tried to get it sorted, she found the account wasn't in her name. I guess it finally dawned on her just how much of her life I'd been quietly propping up. Instead of calling me, she tried to go through my job. I couldn't believe it. But here's the unexpected part: my boss overheard the call, and later that day she asked if I was okay. I told her everything, not in detail, but just enough. I was tired of pretending everything in my life was fine when it wasn't. And that conversation, well, it shifted something. She offered me a week off, said I should go somewhere, anywhere, just reset. So I booked a solo trip to Arizona. A quiet resort off-season, no kids, no noise. I didn't tell anyone where I was going except Jenna. And while I was sitting by the pool on my third day there, sipping something frozen and ridiculous, I got a text from my sister. Just one line. "You didn't have to make a scene, Ashley." A scene. After everything, that was her takeaway. And that's when I knew there was no apology coming, no breakthrough, no, "you were right," or "I'm sorry I hurt you." She'd rather see me as dramatic than face the truth about herself. And honestly, I think I was finally okay with that. After that text, "You didn't have to make a scene, Ashley." I stared at it for a while, just shaking my head. No context, no apology, no hint of understanding. She genuinely thought I was the one who crossed the line, not her silence, not the years of unacknowledged help, not the way she cut me out of something as personal as a baby shower. No, the real problem was that I embarrassed her. It hit me then. She didn't want a sister. She wanted a service. And I'd been providing that service for free since I was 16. The next day, I sat down and wrote out everything she still owed me, not to send, just for myself. When I saw the number at the bottom, I didn't even flinch. I just stared at it like it was someone else's bill. Someone stupid. Someone who should have known better. I called. My dad told him the full story. Not for permission, not for sympathy. I just needed someone to know that I was done. For good. No more calls when she needed money. No more pretending we were close when we hadn't been for years. I said flat out that I wasn't going to be her fallback anymore. He didn't try to talk me out of it. He just said, "Ashley, you've always been the one holding it all together. Maybe it's her turn to learn what that actually means." It felt like the first time someone in our family saw it for what it was. That shook me more than anything. But of course, word got out. 2 days later, my aunt called, said she wasn't choosing sides, but thought I should know that my sister had been saying I was trying to control her life with money, that I was toxic, manipulative. She was telling people I'd demanded repayment at her baby shower in front of guests, that I'd made a scene and stormed out, which was funny because I wasn't even invited in the first place. The narrative flipped so fast it gave me whiplash. What she didn't realize, or maybe didn't care about, was that the people she was talking to knew me, really knew me. They'd seen the things I'd done for her over the years, and some of them started reaching out privately. Quiet texts, quiet calls, saying they understood, that they were sorry, that they were starting to see it. But I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want validation. I wanted peace. So I made my last move. I texted her, just one message. "Keep the money, all of it. I don't care anymore. Don't pay me back. I'm out. I'm not doing this relationship anymore. You win. We're done." And then I blocked her. A few hours later, her husband called from a different number. I didn't pick up. He sent a message instead. "So you're just going to forgive thousands in debt to make a point, Ashley? That's insane." But it wasn't insane. It was liberation. I wasn't giving them a gift. I was taking something back. My time, my energy, my boundaries. They could tell whatever story they wanted. They could play victim until the end of time. But I knew the truth. And the people who mattered, they were starting to know it too. She thought forgiveness was weakness. But what she never understood was that forgiving her completely, fully, with no expectation of repayment, was the strongest thing I'd ever done. And I wasn't done yet. The silence that followed wasn't loud or dramatic or stormy. It was empty, dead quiet. The kind of silence that doesn't wait to be filled. It just stretches out endless. And I think that's when I realized something important. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't hurt. She was fine. Life moved on for her. And it was supposed to hurt, I think, but it didn't. At first, I caught myself replaying everything, wondering if maybe I'd overreacted or gone too far. That little voice in the back of my head, the one she spent years feeding, kept whispering, "What if she really didn't mean it that way? What if you misunderstood Ashley?" But then I'd remember all the times I excused her before, all the times I let things go, swallowed the hurt, cleaned up the mess. And where did that ever get me? Nowhere. People around me started weighing in. Cousins, friends, even coworkers. Some of them knew the whole story. Some only knew the surface. But the common advice was the same. Just let it go. She's not going to change. She never was. Even the ones who tried to stay neutral eventually admitted she had always leaned on me a little too hard, taken advantage of my generosity a little too often, and played the helpless card when it suited her. Even our mom, who used to constantly say, "She's just going through a lot," stopped defending her. I started doing little things I didn't realize I'd avoided, buying myself things without guilt, saying no without needing an excuse, not looking at every unexpected text like it might be a new crisis I had to fix. The absence of her chaos started to feel like a form of therapy. One day, while clearing out old files from my computer, I found the original spreadsheet where I tracked the money she owed. It wasn't just numbers. It had dates, notes, little comments I'd added to remind myself of why I sent each payment. Emergency dental visit, said she'd pay me back Friday. Said they were about to lose power. I stared at it for a long time, not angry, just tired. Then I deleted it. No second copy, no backup, gone. That was my real moment of forgiveness. Not the performative kind, not the look how evolved I am kind. The kind that says, you don't owe me anything anymore, but you also don't get access to me anymore either. Forgiveness without reconciliation. People confuse those two a lot. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to forgive someone completely and still never speak to them again. And her debt, that was the easiest part to forgive. The money was already gone. Holding it over her head was just me dragging a weight I didn't need anymore. I forgave it, all of it. But the part that changed me was the decision to detach. Truly detach from who she used to be in my life. Not because I wanted her to feel pain, but because I didn't want to keep handing her the tools to hurt me and then acting surprised when she used them. She never apologized. Not once. He never even tried. And in a strange way, that made it easier. There was no gray area left to dance around. Just facts. She made her choices, and I finally made mine. I used to think family meant sacrifice, but now I think it means boundaries. I still have love for her somewhere, but it's love that doesn't require proximity, doesn't require me to be her safety net, doesn't require me to set myself on fire just so she can feel warm. I gave her everything, and in the end, the only thing she refused to give back was accountability. So I walked away quietly, completely. And for the first time in a very long time, I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad.